Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled among the rolling hills of a vast, enchanted forest, there lived a young princess named Amara. With her raven black hair, emerald eyes, and fair skin, she was a picture of beauty and grace. Her life, however, though filled with riches and comfort, felt empty. The lavish gowns, the great feasts, and the endless balls never satisfied her. Her heart longed for something deeper, something magical, something real. She had heard countless stories of fairies, of creatures who lived in a world beyond the reach of mortals, and she yearned to meet one. As a child, her nursemaid had told her tales of fairies who granted wishes and guided the lost through the darkest of woods. Her father, the king, often scoffed at such stories, calling them mere messes. But Amara's curiosity was insatiable. As she grew older, the desire to see the magic of fairyland became a part of her soul. She no longer wished for jewels or fine dresses. She wanted to experience the wonder her imagination had created. One night, under the light of a full moon, Amara made up her mind. She would leave her life of luxury behind, if only for a while, to seek out a fairy. The decision was bold, and she knew the risks. Her father had forbidden her from venturing into the enchanted forest, for he believed it was dangerous and cursed. But Amara's longing for the unknown was too powerful to ignore. At dawn, wearing a simple cloak, she slipped out of the palace unnoticed, her heart pounding with excitement. She wandered through the dense woods, feeling the cool wind on her face and the earth beneath her boots. The forest seemed alive with whispers and secrets, and the deeper she ventured, the more she felt the magic in the air. Strange birds with iridescent feathers flew overhead, and flowers of every color bloomed around her, their petals glowing faintly in the growing twilight. For days she searched, following the faint trail of stardust she believed would lead her to the fairy realm. Finally, on the fifth night, she came upon a glistening clearing. In the center stood an ancient oak tree, its roots twisting and curling in the soil like the fingers of a giant. The tree's bark shimmered with a soft, otherworldly light. As Amara approached, a gentle voice echoed through the air. "Why do you seek us, young princess?" Startled, Amara looked up to see a figure descending from the branches of the tree. It was a fairy, radiant and ethereal, with delicate wings that sparkled like the stars themselves. The fairy hovered in the air, her eyes kind but full of knowing. "I seek to find magic," Amara said, her voice trembling with excitement. "I've heard stories all my life, and I wish to know the truth. I want to see your world, learn your ways, and understand the magic that fills this land." The fairy regarded her for a long moment. "The magic you seek comes with a price. If you truly wish to enter our realm, you must give up something of great value, something that binds you to the human world." Without hesitation, Amara replied, I will give up everything. I am willing to leave everything behind as long as I can see the magic for myself." The fairy smiled, though there was a sadness in her eyes. "Very well, Princess Amara, you shall enter our world. But know this, once you step into our realm, you may never return as you were. The world you knew will fade, and you will become something else." Amara nodded, too eager to understand to think of the consequences. The fairy extended her hand, and with a single touch, the air around Amara shimmered, pulling her into the tree. She felt herself being lifted into the sky, the wind rushing past her as the world around her dissolved into a blur of light. When the light faded, Amara found herself in a land unlike any she had ever imagined. The sky was a swirling blend of colors, trees with glowing leaves stretched as far as the eye could see, and the air was thick with a hum of magic. This was fairyland, and everything about it was more magnificent than she had ever dreamed. She felt lighter, freer, and more alive than she had ever been. But as the days turned into weeks, Amara began to realize the true cost of her decision. She had been granted the gift of seeing the magic with her own eyes, but at the expense of her former life. As the days passed, the memories of her family, her kingdom, and her human existence began to fade like a distant dream. In fairyland, the very fabric of her being was changing. Her royal title meant nothing here, and she was no longer a princess. The longer she stayed, the more she became one with the land. The fairies taught her magic, and she learned quickly. She learned how to shape the wind, speak to the animals, and make flowers bloom with the wave of her hand. But with each new spell, her humanity slipped further away. Months turned into years, and though she had learned and grown in ways she could never have imagined, a sense of loneliness began to creep into her heart. She realized that in seeking the magic of fairyland, she had lost the one thing she had truly wanted: connection. The fairies were kind, but they were not human. She missed the warmth of her family, the laughter of the people in her kingdom, and even the simple comfort of being an ordinary girl. Then one day, as she wandered through the enchanted forest, a thought occurred to her. She could not stay in fairyland forever, not when it cost her everything. But returning to the human world seemed impossible. The fairy who had brought her here had warned her that she could never go back as she had been. Yet Amara's heart refused to give up. She would find a way, even if it meant paying the ultimate price. With great determination, she sought the counsel of the fairy who had first brought her to this world. "Please," she begged, "is there no way to return? I have learned so much, but I long to be human again, to go back home." The fairy, her wings now dim with sorrow, shook her head. "It is not so simple, child. Once you enter fairyland, you become one of us. You cannot return as the princess you once were. But there's a way. Tell me," Amara pleaded, her voice breaking. "You must give up the magic you have gained. You must leave behind everything you have learned and become something else, something both human and magical. a witch. It is the only way to return to the human world, but you will never again be what you once were. Amara stood frozen. The thought of losing her powers was painful, but she knew she had no other choice. The magic had changed her, but it had not brought her peace. She had to find a way back. With a heavy heart, Amara agreed. The fairy raised her hands, and the magic around her began to twist and shift. Amara felt the power inside her ebb away, and a new force, one that was both human and magical, took its place. The spell completed, and Amara's body was filled with an ancient power she had never known before. She was no longer a princess, but something else, a witch. The moment the transformation was complete, she was whisked away from the fairyland and back into the world she had once known. She awoke on the edge of the kingdom, the familiar hills and forests before her. She was home, but everything felt different. She had become someone new, someone with the power to help others, to heal, to change things. As a witch, Amara lived in the human world once more, using her magic to help those in need. She helped farmers whose crops had failed, healed the sick, and guided lost travelers through the forest. She became known as the Witch of the Woods, a mysterious figure whose magic was both feared and revered. But her family, still living in the castle, never knew the truth. They did not know that their beloved princess, who had vanished so many years ago, had returned, not as the girl they once knew, but as a human filled with ancient power. Amara would occasionally visit the castle, watching from the shadows as her family went on with their lives. Sometimes, when they needed help, she would be the one to provide it, though they never suspected who she truly was. And so Amara lived her life as a witch, using the magic she had gained to help those in need, while keeping her true identity as a secret. She had lost her title, her family did not know the truth, but she had found something far greater, a purpose, a place in the world where magic could make a difference. And though her heart ached for the life she had left behind, she knew that she had found her true calling, one that would shape her forever. And the end of our today's fairy tale. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. See you next time everyone. Bye bye.